off. Do. Righty. Okay, that is better. Let's see what the lighting is like. Looks decent. Scooch over a little bit. All right. Yeah, that's decent. Um, I'm gonna sit this down and hold up. Looks cool right here. So yeah, decent. So yeah, allows me to drink my water. So this will be the last of my religious debate discussions until I decide to recycle this again for further streams down the road. But this will be the end. The last one wasn't well received. It only lasted 18 minutes, which in 18 minutes, no, it was about 20, about 22 minutes or so, 20 something minutes, which again, 20 something minutes in some events is a very, very long event. I'm not going to say for what, but you can use your imaginations. You dirty people. I'm joking. No, but seriously, 20 something minutes would be a good uh, lasting event in many venues, including cardio. You can do cardio for like 20 plus minutes. You're doing well. You're doing well. Just saying. But no, seriously, like, so the religious discussions haven't really gone well. A few of them were okay, but not much receptivity to them. So this will be the last one. Also, this doesn't, because this is the last one and because of the fact that the others didn't do so well, this is going to be a de facto ask me anything. So if and when people pour into the chat room, I'm going to just allow them to ask me random questions. Although I will try to focus it back on the original topic, which is, when people proselytize in chat rooms, are they just being trolls? That is the discussion. Elizabeth, um, Charina 616 says hi. What's up? What's up, Elizabeth? Maya M says hello. What's up? Edgar, is it Cyril Sevs? Says, what are we talking about here? So this is a Ask Me Anything format, but the actual topic for today is are people, when people try to proselytize in live streams, are they just trolling? That's the discussion. But if people want to ask me other questions, that's fine. This is the last of my religious discussions that I started 4 weeks ago. Fell off on it last week. Tried to revitalize it for the two last topics that I had. The last one didn't go so well, so here I'm just going to discuss whatever. But and besides that, I've pretty much already came to a tentative um, answer to my own query, which is, are proselytizers mostly just trolling? For the most part, yes, they are. For the most part, they are. Some are genuine, but the fact that some of them only say that and then they dip, they come in and they proselytize, um, usually only on Jesus. I usually don't get people. I don't have people proselytizing or being evangelical. Usually for no other religious faith, other than sometimes Muslims. Sometimes I do have Muslims come in and proselytize, but almost, but 90 over 90% over 90% of the time it's usually people proselytizing on their Christian faith. And again, they just want to express their own faith. I don't care. This is when people try to kind of spam the chat rooms with it. I find it to be a form of trolling when people are spamming the chat room with it. On top of that, I found it I also saw it to be a bit trolling because again, 4 weeks ago, I opened up multiple live streams on the topics of religion, and the same people who came in always proselytizing and talking, you know, uh, crazy about bless this and bless that, usually had nothing else to say on those given topics. Casey Leverett says hi, what's up? But yeah, so and I'm wearing the glasses. These are my reading glasses, guys. Someone asked me yesterday. No, sorry, the other day. They was like, "Well, why don't you wear contacts?" Because these are just my reading glasses. I'm not gonna get contacts for reading glasses like that. It really wouldn't make sense because I don't wear glasses all day. These are just when I'm trying to have clearer vision when I'm reading and reading small text like this from a mobile screen. Alyssa Taylor says, "Damn, give me salute, soldier." No, you can. You're probably some little OnlyFans person, which I mean, if that's your hustle, that's cool. But yeah, I don't salute folks who are civilians who've never served. Sorry, and I don't tolerate stolen valor either. My whole expanse says it's not trolling or expressing our own faith. Jesus tells us to spread the gospel. People just love you, man. They care about your salvation with love. No, no. Most of them are trolling. Because again, if it wasn't just trolling, then when I opened up a plethora of religious discussions, live streams, none of them participated except for like once or twice. Except for once or twice, those trolls never participated whatsoever. The people now I have many followers who are of fervent faith, and they do express it um, here in my chat room on my live streams, and I don't mind that. That's cool. Um, but the difference is they talk about other things besides their faith. Like they can actually hold a an intelligent conversation. The people who only talk about their faith, I mean, they don't even just talk about their faith. They literally just spam the chat room talking about Jesus loves you, blah 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 bullshit. They're trolling. They're trolling. It is trolling. And they're not expressing their own faith. They're expressing the fact that they are probably neurodivergent. Usually people on the autism spectrum, or folks who have ADHD, OCD, or Tourette syndrome, or other forms of neurodevelopmental disorders. And let's be frank, people who are neurodivergent or have neurodevelopmental disorders, that's just a that's just a nice way of saying they have minor brain damage. We like to be nice, but I don't care about being nice. People who are neurodivergent are just people who have minor brain damage, and you can tell by the fucking way they behave. It's aberrant. Casey Levis says, "Happy Good Friday." Thank you. Happy Good Friday to you as well. I actually don't know how, because I'm not of Catholic or Eastern Orthodox faith. I'm not, or Episcopalian. I'm actually not sure how people celebrate on Good Friday. Now on Palm Sunday, I do. I used, when I was a kid and went to church with my family. I remember going to church on Palm Sunday and they giving you the little, pieces of palm trees or whatever, and there would be like some, preaching and yada yada yada. But I don't remember anything really on Good Friday. some of you can elucidate me on that and tell me what some of you folks do on Good Friday as part of your church's service, or maybe what you do personally. My whole expanse says God gave us all free will, though, so you're free to believe whatever you want. He still loves you, brother. Well, I respect that you say that. Actually, I don't believe in free will. I think it's, I think that it's hard to, well, for philosophical reasons, not for religious reasons, by the way. For, for, well, I mean, sorry, for scientific reasons, I don't believe in free will, but not for religious reasons. The the philosophical and both scientific reasons are this. Um, we don't actually have a work. We don't have a concept to which everyone can agree to what free will even is. That's the philosophical problem with it, amongst others. There are others. I'm just not going to get into all of that. I actually did a whole live stream on that 2 years ago. If people want to look into my live stream where I discuss free will versus determinism. But I do have a whole live stream on that if people want to check that out. So I won't rehash that here unless people are interested. The scientific basis is that uh, for my skepticism over free will, which is called metaphysical libertarianism. My my skepticism of it on a scientific basis is that it doesn't lead to any understanding of human behavior whatsoever. So and it runs afoul of the fact that human behavior is subject to the laws of science like any other creature. So anywho, but again, that's not to knock anyone's faith. If someone takes human free will on personal faith, I have nothing against that whatsoever. 101 the ones is up. Interesting username. Um, you look like Fear the Turtle. You mean Testudo? Our mascot is called Testudo. Fear the Turtle is his. Fear the Turtle is the Maryland Terrapins logo. Like I mean their not their logo. I'm sorry. Is their mantra. We say fear the turtle, but our mascot is called Testudo. Testudo the terrapin, based on an actual like terrapin turtle. My whole experience says, I'm sorry you've been trolled. That's not how the gospel is supposed to be spread. True, but again, you have to understand that a lot of people who express religion, fervent faith, tend to be mentally ill. Like if you, and I'm not, and I'm again, that's not a knock against religious folks, but it is a, but it is a quite common psychological fact that a lot of mentally ill people express their psychopathology through religion. Like if you go into any psychiatric ward of a hospital, you'll see a lot of people with uh, quite a bit of religious delusions. So people often express that here on social media, particularly in live streams and in comment threads. A lot of people who ought to not be on social media are freely expressing their mental illness. So yes, comes with the it comes with the territory of being a content creator. So any content creator doesn't have the resilience to deal with um, morons probably shouldn't be a content creator. He says that you on your shirt. No, it's your mother sucking my dick. Po boy Magic 80. Moving on. So my whole expense is It's not BS. He does love you. No need for hate. I'm not hating. I was just telling you. I'm just like I think we've had a respectful um, back and forth so far, right? I'm not spreading any hate. I'm talking about the the experiences that I and many other content creators have dealing with people in live streams. A lot of people troll, and one of the ways in which they do troll is that they will spam the chat room um, under the guise of spreading their faith. Uh, Casey Lever says, "Bro, I've already responded to you, Casey. My whole expenses. You should care about being nice, dude. I am nice until people come here trolling. I have no obligation to be nice to people who come into my live stream trolling the host, that is I, for the express purposes of disrupting the live stream. Why should I respect that? Do I come into their jobs kicking dicks out of their mouths? No, I respect their hustle and allow them to be the Peter Puffers that they are to feed their family, sucking garden hoses down their mouth like it was spaghetti. Ascended Pigeon X280 says, "Bro, those quote unquote Jesus is Lord comments are strange." Thank you. Thank you. That's what I'm saying. Like, I'm not knocking anyone for having religious faith, but what Ascended Pigeon is saying is completely on the money. Like, why would you just randomly just be texting that in the chat room? It is erratic behavior. It's not someone expressing their faith, it's someone expressing their mental illness or the fact that they're just trolling the host of the live streams. That's all it is. Like, it would be different if they came in here and they say, I do get people say, "Hey man, bless you," whatever, and I'm saying, and I'm usually like, "Thank you," but I'm talking about the folks who come in telling people to repent and do this and do that and saying he is your savior, yada yada yada, and that's all they say. That's all they say. You can't engage them in any other conversation beyond that. That is trolling, and it is strange. Blue Oak 5262 says, "I don't celebrate Easter." Well, I mean, you don't have to. Also, oh, shout out to everyone who's celebrating Passover as well. So today is Good Friday. Uh, and I believe yesterday, uh, I believe last night was the beginning of Passover. So if I have any of you who celebrate the Jewish faith, happy Passover. Save me some matzo balls. I'm joking. Actually, I don't. I'm trying to remember. I can't remember if I had. I think there's like this uh, fragmented memory of mine where I think I've tried it, and then again I'm not sure. Like, and if I did try it, uh, it may have been in college. I can't, but I really can't recall. I'm thinking I'm forcing myself into a memory where I've tried it when I really haven't though. My whole expense is, what do you think happens when we die? Out of curiosity, I'm not trolling or brain damage. No, I know you're not brain damaged because you're actually engaging me in a conversation. You're not just typing one line and then just repeating it ad nauseum um, throughout the chat room. I know you're not trolling or being brain damaged. You're actually engaging me in a real conversation. I appreciate that. So what do I think happens when we die? I mean, technically, I would just say I don't know. I don't know. I don't think anyone knows. Uh, However, based on the scant evidence we have you know, medical, through the medical literature, looking at the medical literature and looking at the nature of uh, neurophysiology, I would say nothing happens when we die. I I believe there's no software without the hardware. So once the hardware is gone, the software is gone as well. You have to have hardware in which to run the software. That is, the mind brain. Once the mind brain is gone, that's it. That is what I and most non-religious people think, and also people of different religious faiths outside of Western faith probably think the same thing. A lot of people who follow Eastern traditions of faith uh, believe in either endless reincarnation, or they believe you just become you just you cease to be. Like if you follow something like Zen Buddhism, like you know, well, some strains of Zen Buddhism, because they may also believe in reincarnation too, until you reach uh, enlightenment, to which you then become a part of the unified, that you become a part of the harmony of nature. But for the most part, I mean, I don't think anything happens after you die. I think it's complete. So that's my suspicion. But again, technically, I don't know because we don't have any hard evidence for what happens afterwards from people who were clinically dead. Many of them, as the brain is dying, they tend to have flooding memories of their past, as well as the effects of a dying brain, which is like sort of a tunneling effect. Seeing the This is where you get the whole seeing the bright light down the dark tunnel sort of thing. That's sort of an effect of the dying brain, or brain that's severely traumatized. And then if they are of any faith, they'll usually see something corresponding to that faith. So if you're a Christian, you may see Jesus, or or um, Saint Mary, or one of the saints or archangels, something like that. But it's usually Jesus or Mary that people ex- claim to have experienced seeing in that moment. But if you are of Jewish faith, you may see someone else. Maybe you'll see Moses or Enoch, um, or Joshua, like, or Jacob. I don't know. If you're a Buddhist, maybe you might see the enlightened one himself, Siddhartha Gautama Buddha, or you might see one of the lesser Buddhas. Um, if you're someone who's a Taoist or Confucianist, you probably won't see anything. If you're an atheist, you probably won't see anything. Um, However, I mean, if you're an atheist or agnostic, but you still have a strong spiritual inclination towards Christian faith, you may still see that, experience that as in the dying moments of your brain. I don't know, but it's very it's very subjective. Okay, but most of those things can are the effects of a dying brain, and can be elicited through certain uh, elicited through certain excitation of areas of the cerebral cortex that have been done um, in some uh, neurological studies. So, sorry for that long answer. Blue Oak says I don't do anything on Good Friday either. Okay. Again, I don't even know what people actually do on Good Friday. And it's funny. It was always a confusement on my part. Is confusement a word? Confusion. I don't know if confusement is a word. there's I was, so there was always a confusion on my part when I was younger around Easter because Passover and Easter always had a strong crossover. So I was always confused that we're celebrating Easter, but then the movie The Ten Commandments would be on all Sunday on Easter Sunday, like with with Mr. NRA himself, Charlton Heston playing Moses. And it always confused me that on Easter Sunday we were watching the Ten Commandments, and it would, and I never gotten through the entire movie. Either I would watch the beginning half or the end or the last half, the end of it. But I could never get through the whole movie because with it being on TV, you got commercials, and even without the commercials, I think it was like 4 or 5 hours long. I don't remember how long it is. Someone can tell me if they watched the entire thing, and you know. But that always confused me. By the way, was you had Palm Sunday, then you had Good Friday, and then you had Easter Sunday. We went out, and that's usually when I will get a new suit for church. But I was just excited to go home and have my Easter egg basket and eat candy. Rarely did I don't think I rarely got to do an Easter egg hunt. Maybe once or twice, but usually it was just getting the Easter egg basket, which was fun. Um, but it always confused me that I was watching like the Ten Commandments on that day while I was enjoying Easter. So anyway, my whole expense, as you say, quote unquote, I think, and then don't believe in free will. You're freely thinking. That's not free will. Does not mean thinking. You're That's not what free will means. Free will, again, this is part of the problem with the concept of free will is that there's no mutual agreement in what the concept even refers to as far as a psychological phenomenon. Like purportedly, it refers to a freedom in one's choices and behavior. But again, because our behavior and action are actually dictated by the laws of science through psychology, neurobiology, biochemistry, molecular physics, all the way down to foundational physics, like like quantum mechanics. Like there's no role for free will on a scientific basis. Thinking thinking has nothing to do with free will. We program computers to do thinking. This platform which we are currently using, YouTube, is using AI. That's which involves machine learning, which is thinking. Thinking is a cognitive process which can be programmed. It has nothing to do with free will. You don't have to give a computer free will to give it the ability to think. Thinking is both productive and generative, as is human language. That's why I think human thinking and human language are so inextricably linked with each other. Um, in in cognitive science and in philosophy of mind, one of the common um, definitions of thoughts is that a thought is a sentence which is embedded in token in the brain and is defined over um, computational processes, which gives rise to the um, computational representational and computational theory of thought, which is the basis of modern cognitive science. Although many of them still, uh, that's the classical. Nowadays, this is considered the classical theory of cognitive science, but that's what it builds on. When Alan Turing invented the modern computer, It had nothing to do with free will. It it dealt with the fact that he could program a machine to do uh, cogitation through using formal language based off of first order logic. So, yeah. Ascended Pigeon X2A says, yeah, they trolling in here heavy. Oh, I know, bro. It gets bad sometimes, but I roll with it. The funny thing is when I start roasting the trolls, then everyone gets offended. It's like, why are you being so mean? I'm like, I'm not being mean. I'm throwing the same energy back to them. And on top of that, I I'm not even mad. I'm just roasting them because I'm just, throwing them the same energy. Like being of a generation Gen X where we used to always just like crack jokes on each other for fun. The fact that people would get so easily like irritated at the fact that I'm roasting people who come here with the express intent to thwart my streams is irony at its best. Edwin Madeira 8755 says, "Why don't atheists criticize Satan?" Easy, because we don't believe in Satan either. I don't. It's always been hilarious why people don't understand that point. Like I remember this girl who I was interested in and who was interested in me back in college, and she stopped dealing with me. Don't matter already. Never mind. Anyway, um, she wouldn't deal with me because she saw my Black Planet page. Yeah, this is how long ago it was. A Black Planet page. If you don't know about blackplanet.com, ask your parents. Anyway, we, on my blackplanet.com page, I had, put it out as atheist under religion. And she's like, oh, I can't date atheists. He's like, you guys believe in Satan. I'm like, wait, what? And so let me clear this up for you folks who don't understand atheism. Atheism is the belief that God and the Christian God or gods plural don't exist. It has nothing to do with Satan. If we don't believe in God, we don't believe in Satan. Satan is just like the anti-God. So why would we believe in the spiritual? Why would we believe in the evil equivalent of the so-called good one? If the good one doesn't exist, neither does the bad one. I don't get how people. I don't. I get it. Some of you have never experienced someone who was atheist in your life, and so the only understanding you have of that is through very wrong-headed information. Okay, but if an atheist doesn't believe in a divine being, Satan is a divine being as well. We don't believe in him either. We don't believe in gods, angels, Satan, spirits, genies, you know, demons, none of that stuff. So I hope that answers your question, Edwin. Like, why would we criticize something that we don't believe exists? it, does that make sense? And to be fair, atheists, if you're talking about criticism as far as like on a, mm, if we're talking about like what would be our ethical stance towards the Christian conception of God, towards the Christian conception of Satan, the atheists have had criticisms of both. So that's so I don't know how that's best to answer you on that, other than we don't need to criticize a evil being that doesn't actually exist. No more than I have to criticize Dark Side or Thanos or Apocalypse or Doomsday. They don't exist. Tyler, capital R dash B5I or L, can't tell. Says free will to learn what I learned today. Will it help me tomorrow? Huh? I that's not even a I don't know what you're saying, bro. Like you got to if you can clean that up a little bit, I can answer it. I don't know what you I literally don't know what you're asking. Uh my whole expense is I respect your outlook. I appreciate it. And I respect your faith. I mean, and again, it's not like I just because I don't have faith myself doesn't mean that I dislike it. I've actually you have you I don't think you've seen any of my other previous live streams, but I have actually defended faith from an atheistic point of view in previous streams. Um, I have on my dog tags a Christian saint, Saint Michael, who's U.S. the patron saint of the U.S. Armed Forces. That's why I keep it on my dog tags. When we were called up to when we were called up for deployment, one of the NCOs in my unit were passing passing around, these um, medallions for um, the Archangel Michael, Saint Michael. So Tor Tarosia, I'm not sure how I pronounce that. She says, or he says, "Are you Mormon?" No, I'm not Mormon. Do Mormons not celebrate Easter? I don't. I actually don't know. um. So Casey Leverett, this troll, decides to say this is Casey is a Casey is the exact example of a religious troll that I was talking about. Mind you, she had nothing to say throughout this whole live stream, and now she feels offended. So, and I don't even think Casey is a real person. I think she's a bot. But she says this isn't fake. People make the videos because they are Christians. You can't even spell Christians. You spelled it Christin apostrophe S. She said, "You are dumb. Go fuck off." Says the person who can't even spell the name of her faith. Sounds like you're the dumb one. Sound like you should go clean out your pussy. It might clear your head up. Candy Dash White S. Before he says, "What's up? What's up?" Even though I put WhatsApp, WhatsApp, but I think you meant what's up. That's probably a typo. My whole expenses Edwin does a good question. If you understand his question, whole expanse, maybe you can explain it because that made no grammatical sense to me whatsoever. I didn't I didn't understand what he was asking. I thought I understood what he knew, but I would have been making an assumption. So I'd rather if he's still here, he can clear it up because that didn't grammatically didn't make any sense. So I wasn't gonna force myself to try to parse what he was asking me because I probably would have gotten it wrong. So herbs and animals are lice that pass the toad milk. What? I think you need to stay off the drugs, bro. Eric, what's up, man? I haven't seen you in a while. He said, "Hey, man." Candy says, "For real." Trenton Carey says, "What is faith and can it be seen?" So no, it can't be seen. I mean, that's not faith is a, a sort of faith. By definition, it is an unjustified belief in something. Beliefs aren't something you see. Beliefs are propositional attitudes, or what we sometimes call intentional mental states, which means these are mental states that are about something or aiming at something. Um, the they can't be seen because they're mental representations. And I know you'll say, well, what are mental representations? Just a contrarian. Well, I'm gonna give the dumbed down version of it, not the dumbed down version, the simplified version that I work with as well, because when I actually took, well, didn't technically didn't take the class. I was just sitting in on the class, but when I still did the midterm and final exams with them, even though I didn't have to. Um, but I just thought to be a good sport, I would take them anyway. And we had to give a definition of a mental representation, which was like a page long. But I'm gonna give you the abridged version. A mental representation is basically a like basically formal symbols that are manipulated by the mind for the purposes of knowledge. So yeah, these can't be seen, but they do have some sort of causal effect on our behavior. So they are real, which we say they are psychologically real, since they do actually affect our behavior and thoughts, right? So that's what faith is an unjustified belief, right? Screen time 24 hours 111 says got to go subscriber only mode at least. Yeah, no, I understand that that's actually an option that I'm aware of now. if like if the trolling gets too bad, yeah, I would go to subscriber only mode. And I've actually decided that from now on, if I have like guests on, like my wife, sometimes I'll let her come on to the stream with me. I'll switch it to subscriber mode so I can not deal with trolls. Because if the trolls doesn't go so far as to subscribe just so they can troll me, they're doing me a favor, right? Um, but most of them won't. Candy says you good, man. Thank you, thank you. Eric says, yeah, contrarian usually gives back what energy you give out. Yeah, exactly. The folks who come in here who are nice and who are just being genuinely curious about something, I'm not, I'm not gonna, play someone cheap who comes in here, eh, who comes in here on good faith trying to have a conversation, or someone who simply doesn't know something and they're asking me something, like the guy who was just asking me about faith. Did you see me roast him? No. I in fact, my one fault is that I'll probably go into too much detail explaining things. Um, I only roast people who come in here with the express purposes of trying to throw off the live stream. Like I literally had someone a few days ago saying that he and many others enjoy coming into live streams trolling people just because they think the content creators have nothing to do with their lives, better to do with their lives, so they feel that they should disrupt them. I was like, that is a very mentally ill thing, mentally ill sort of reasoning to have in messing with people. Like if you don't like a person or you just don't like content creators, then why waste your time and the effort to disrupt them? In any case, if they're monetized, there's like they're making money off the live streams, whereas you're wasting your time. You could be doing something better with your life, making money, having fun. So Eric says I'm a devout Christian and he has been nothing but respectful towards me. Exactly. Like I said, I've literally had. I don't know if Eric was in those streams, but I've literally had streams. where I've defended people's faith. I've kicked trolls out for messing with people on their faith. I I have nothing against anyone's faith. I have something against trolling, and that's sort of my point. I just don't like trolls. It has nothing to do with their faith. I don't like what I don't like is someone who comes in here trolling and using their faith as an excuse to be they use their alleged faith as a tool to undermine me as the host of the stream or to insult other people in the chat room. That's what I'm talking about. Screen time says, "What's the topic?" Also, thoughts on Jaden Ivy. Well, we're talking about the very topic. So the topic is are people who proselytize um, in live streams just trolling. That's the topic. As far as thoughts on Jaden Ivy, I don't know. I don't even know who Jaden Ivy is. Yakuba says hi. What's up? Yakuba says hello. I'm Traore Yakuba from the Ivory Coast. I want help. I live in Africa. Difficult. I want help of $1,000. You can kick fucking bricks. Ain't no one falling for your little fucking scams. Are you also a prince? Should I deposit this money in your account and you're gonna give me some by to help me out in the process? If you don't get your little scamming African spear chucking ass out the fuck out this fucking stream, you back, man, Negro, please. Get the fuck out of here, man. Ain't no one helping your bitch ass. You need $1,000, you better go get a fucking job. You better start a GoFundMe or a Kickstarter. Better do something. If you have if you have the wherewithal to have internet service to get onto a live stream, you have money because internet ain't free over there. Scamming ass. Eric said that's a no from me, Yakuba. That's we gotta say it like what's his name from what was the reality show to not the Masked Singer. What's the classic one when they were all trying to become singers? Like that's gonna be a no from me, dog. He said, "Please, Africa difficult, no good job." What? Africa is a continent, not a country. Africa has 54 different countries. Not all of them are cesspools of, well, a lot of them are mired in poverty, and that's to do with your incompetent political leadership in many of those countries, if not all. But not some of those countries in the aren't as messed up as others. If you're in the coat, like even if you're being sincere, which I don't believe you are, because again, if you were that poor, you wouldn't be able to be on this live stream with us right now. So go back to Cote d'Ivoire and get a job, s'il vous plaît. Maintenant, vite, vite, tout de suite. D'accord. Dead Man System says Jesus is King, brother. Okay. Osama V9 L. This I hate how you can't tell a capitalized I from a lowercase L on in this sort of font. But anyway, he quotes, "It came without ribbons, it came without tags, it came without packages, boxes, or bags, bars." I'm joking. I'm joking. I don't even know where that's from. Oh, you want it sent by WhatsApp, so you're definitely scamming. Anyone who wants some shit sent to them on WhatsApp, you're a scammer. Again, I don't know. I'm actually don't know why I haven't even like banned your username yet, but I kind of just find it remotely funny that you think that people would believe you. No one's stupid enough to believe you, and if they are, that's too bad for them. I'm only putting up with this right now because I find it remotely funny. But you're not you're not convincing one person, bro. Again, take your ass back to Cote d'Ivoire. Tu sei très stupide. Eric says, Yakuba, stop begging. He said, we don't know you. Man. My whole expanse is Christians believe we will meet God and be judged. Well, yeah. I mean, I understand the faith. You gotta understand, I was a church going person up until like probably till I was like 16 and then no longer had was no longer forced by my family to go to church. But up until 16, I was church going. I was in Sunday school, and then we would attend the adult service after after Sunday school was over. Um, Even in the ninth grade, my friends and I started a after school program, after school Bible study program at my school, which we called the Power Source. So I understand the faith very well. The irony is that most atheists probably know the scripture better than most believers, which is one of the reasons, which is probably one of the reasons that led them to their eventual religious skepticism or atheism. But yeah, guys, should I ban Yakubo or should we just allow him to keep e-begging? See, here we go. So here's a religious troll that I'm talking about, guys. Perfect example right here. Um, shoot, I skipped all the way up. I mean, all the way down the stream. Let me get back to where I was. Jeez, how far? So we already got someone spamming the content here. All right, god damn it, because he's doing it so quickly, it's messing up my. So I'm gonna just ban this retard. All right, yeah, this little retarded faggot named James Smith dash K5V8D. He was spamming the chat room, so I couldn't even get to the next message. And this is what I'm talking about, guys. So here's a troll right here. Jesus loves you underscore PSO. Jesus died so you can live in all caps. This is what I'm talking about. This is someone who's not genuine about expressing their faith to others. They're just being a troll. And again, I guarantee that this person behind this username is someone who's mentally disturbed. And that I literally have a background in scientific psychology, I know when people have are expressing psychopathology. I just don't like always pulling out my credentials. This is why I no longer do content with my degrees in the background like I used to do 3 years ago because I don't feel like I have to keep proving myself to others. So My whole expense is, what do you think about the scientists that proved? See, here we go. There's no the there's no delay in the stream. I'm talking to people in real time, Bennett Vandergriff. You're disrupting the flow. So shut the fuck up so I can get to my messages, or get off my stream. So anyway, so my whole expanse is, what do you think about the scientists that proved you cannot create life without life, and you have and have disproved the Big Bang theory, and that none of what you is all right. So I'm not going to be mean because I understand you probably don't have a scientific background. So first of all, and I'm sorry if I'm gonna be a little bit pedantic here, but roll with me. The reason I'm sometimes pedantic is you can see my line of thought, right? From point A to point B. So hold on here. Okay. So first of all, in science, nothing is proven. So if you understand the uh, if you understand the scientific reasoning, nothing is proven in science, for the very fact that to prove something, you have to go from uh, a bunch of premises which will lead you to a conclusion. In science, you're dealing with empirical data. And again, because this empirical data can be infinite in amount, or not infinite, but just impractical to ever assess the entire body of that empirical data or premises in which they would be expressed, you cannot you cannot it does not follow necessarily from those premises to that conclusion. With it, and I'm I'm gonna skip all the other technicalities here for the sake of simplicity. But when you're talking about an empirical data versus formal, or formal logical uh, data, which leads necessarily to a conclusion, you don't have that with empirical in the empirical world. So you can only confirm certain you can confirm certain conclusions. You can't prove them because that is beyond the realm of empirical science. And formal science is like logic and math, computer science, um, data science, those sorts of things. Yes, you can prove things, but you can't prove things in empirical science. So that should lead. So because of that fact of scientific reasoning, anytime you see something where someone claims someone scientifically proven something, you know you already know that is false. That, if not an outright lie, because nothing is proven within science, and any scientist will tell you that. As far as you saying you cannot create life without life and have disproved so let's get on to that. You cannot create life without life. Actually, we don't know that. There are theories of abiogenesis. Um, in Darwin's magnum opus on natural selection, which is a theory about the origin of species, he does speculate in the very end of that book on how life itself came about. And so, because the funny thing is, everyone misunderstands evolution. They think and I have to correct people, it's not, the evolutionary theory is not the theory of how life started. It's the theory on the origin of species, how species become different species over time. That is what evolution explains. Okay, but there are theories on the origins of life. One is abiogenesis, and there are competing variants of that theory. The one that Darwin championed himself was that there was abiogenesis originally on Earth, in which organic molecules in our primordial oceans. This is why it's called the primordial soup. Uh, this is called the primordial soup theory. Is that in primordial Earth, when the Earth was covered in mostly oceans, you have free floating organic molecules, and at some point they were uh, irradiated, um, maybe through solar radiation or lightning or whatever, and that caused them to self reproduce. That self replication of those organic molecules became the foundation of life, which evolved over billions of years. The other competing abiogenesis theory is the extraterrestrial theory, which is that organic molecules were seeded here on Earth from other celestial objects in the sky, asteroids, planets, whatever, and the organic seeds of life were brought here extra extraterrestrially, which means from outer space. so those, so in either case, those are the two speculative theories on the origins of life. Both of them posit abiogenesis as the start of life here on Earth. So therefore, yes, you can create life without life. The second part, the Big Bang Theory was disproven. No, it's not. It's one of the most well accepted scientific theories ever. It builds on general relativity and has been supported with multiple lines of converging evidence. You have geological evidence, you have astronomical evidence. Edwin Hubble won a Nobel Prize in this very endeavor. Big Bang Theory has not been disproven. It's only been given more and more converging evidence over time. We can actually measure. We actually know how old the we know how old the age of the observable universe is at 13.8 billion years. So Big Bang Theory has not been disproven. Anyway, so moving on. So Marquetta dash 86X is new here, just saying hey from Michigan. What's up, Marquetta? What part of Michigan you from? My whole experience is saying Jesus loves you does not equate to roasting them for saying that. That's not, bro. That's not. Again, think about it. If someone comes in here, they have nothing else to like. You came in here and you're having a conversation with me, right? You're not just you're just not spamming the chat saying one thing. You're actually having an actual conversation, right? But if someone comes in here and they just type something in all caps and they just keep repeating it through the chat room, that is trolling. It doesn't matter what the content of the actual like text is that they keep spamming. It's still trolling. Just because they put God or Jesus in that line doesn't mean that it's not trolling. That's what I'm trying to explain here. People people think they can get away with trolling by simply making it under a religious context, and that doesn't work with me nor any other intelligent host of a live stream. Randy Davis dash UB3SQ says my little brother was an atheist. He didn't believe everyone knew it. He was why are you okay? Anyway, he was unalived by a bus. Now he is on fire every day. Thanks God. Yeah, that's weird as fuck. Are you sound like you're high, or you are dealing with um, some intellectual limitations. I'll say it to put it nicely. Um, my whole expense is you speak very well and you're extremely intelligent. I appreciate it. I don't think I'm that intelligent, but I appreciate the compliment. Like I said, I have to go, but I'll say this with only love. I will pray for you, brother. I pray in Jesus' name that your heart would one day change. Well, I appreciate the sentiment. And I'm not going to make fun of someone who's being sincere. I know you're being sincere. We can disagree, but that doesn't mean we can't, be respectful in our disagreement, right? So have a good evening and enjoy the holidays. If I don't hear from you, you know, before Sunday. Marquetta says, never heard of a black atheist. That's a first. Oh, there's many of us. Matter of fact, there was even a black dating site for black atheists and agnostics back in the day. I never met anyone off of it, but I did end up matching with a few people. And actually, I've made multiple videos in the past, mostly 3 years ago, where I've actually said we need more people in the black community to be more religious, to be more skeptical of religion, because the black church is often exploitative in low income black communities. Like most of the people running these churches live in more upscale communities, and they leech the money out of these low income black communities, who would be better served in recycling that money in their community, um, through you know through business and home ownership, or in investing, or just saving it up to take care of their families. But anyway, she says most of us black folks grew up in church and God is the foundation in our lives. Again, I grew up in the church as well. I mean, I, I was first Muslim, and then I became Christian going. But either way, I've had uh, a bevy of religion in my in the foundations of my life. And to be quite honest, I will probably, when my wife and I have kids, even though she and I are both non-religious, I'm atheist and she's agnostic. I've already told her, and agrees with me, that we'll probably send our kid to like a Catholic school, particularly if we're in the Philippines, because the public schools there aren't very good, unless it's like a special program, like she went to when she was in high school. But she went to a science high school, so go figure. Um, yeah, I'm probably gonna send my kid off to a Catholic school because it is a good foundation for youth. But that doesn't mean that one should be stuck in that rut throughout their entire adulthood. Um, Again, I don't believe in free will, but people have the ability to choose other than how they grew up. Kaiden Hall 247 says religion is just another way to keep the masses in control. Uh, yeah, I mean, partly it is. I mean, that was the critique from Karl Marx, right? The critique from Freud was that people believe in God because he basically represents a, a father figure in their lives. Abraham BA dash IJSUX says Jesus loves you. Sure. Okay. No need to say hi, do you have a good night, and he doesn't deserve hate. Again, where am I giving hate? I'm not, again, I have not given hate to any to I have not given hate to the Christian God. I'm critiquing trolls who come in here to my live streams as well as to other people's live streams, other content creators, and they just troll and spam their chat rooms with with religious nonsense. That's what I'm talking about. And any even a religious person can understand the annoyance of people who will come in here trolling a content creator and thinking they can get away with it because they're doing it under the rubric of spreading uh, of spreading their religious faith. Bennett Vandergrift says, "Remember me, twin." Yeah, I do. So Anthony, bro. Uh, I don't know what this one guy is saying. He says, "Not the length of life. I love Miles Holden." He said, "It's but the depth of life that matters." That is what we call a deepity. Again, for people who don't know what a deepity is, deepity is just another word for pseudo wisdom. It was coined by the late philosopher Daniel Dennett, and he got the term from one of his friend's daughters, and he adopted the term, and to he uses it to refer to pseudo wisdom because he calls it a deepity because it seems deep. It's not. It's something that's either patently false or would be profound if it were true, or it's just an empty truism. Like it is what it is. It's a textbook example of an empty truism. And guys, I'm a little bit behind because trolls again flooded the live stream, so I'm catching up with older um, comments. I respond to people in real time, and that's why there's going to be a time lag because I'm literally scrolling, looking at each message in real time. Life 1159 says, "Nah, I keep him here so I can see his username." He's referring to the earlier troll guys. You gotta find out who he is. Give me a few minutes. Don't ban him. What are you talking about Yakuba, or were you talking about the other guy? Uh, by the way, is that you? Well, I won't use your real name on here, but is that you? Kofifi LOL says, "Can I be a mod?" Absolutely not. I don't know who the fuck you are. Uh, Dang, it just skipped ahead. So, man, I hate that. Hasn't happened in a while where it just jets the chat room all the way down, and that puts me behind too. High on Life. I think I know who High on Life is. So I'll find out who he is. Give me a few minutes. Don't ban him. Uh, Grady dash. Underscore YT says name a basketball player for an edit. I don't get what you mean for an edit. I don't know what you mean. So if I say Michael Jackson, sorry, Michael Jordan, what I don't, what are you going to edit? I don't get it. Vinegar says curry. uh, I don't know. IDK Chino says, oh, I'm sorry for what he's saying. It doesn't bother me. Like I said, I have a tougher skin. Like the funny thing is when I roast the trolls, people think I'm upset, and I'm like, no, I'm just throwing them back the same energy. It doesn't mean I'm upset. Let me put this back down. I'm tired of holding it. Pause. uh, IDK Chino says ban him, bro. Well, someone on here who I think is used to be one of the mods, but I think he is about to do his digital wizardry. Mike Duff 1450 says Arkansas is in the building. All right. Oh, Kofifi, I might have had you wrong, bro. If so, I do apologize. Bennett says, 20, do you remember me, bro? I remember you in my previous live stream. I already responded, but again, there was a time lag. So, uh, uh, Kyle Slafer 3319 says, bro, Anthony, get out of here with that SHIT. He's a good guy. He said, thank you, Anthony. I want to give you my 401k now. Underscore Novin underscore 15 says, are you Sean Diddy? Um, dude, Diddy's not his real name. You're obviously you're obviously either Gen Z or you're white or something, or you're some foreigner from some little butt fuck country. His name isn't Sean Diddy, it's Sean Combs. Diddy is a nickname, which is an abbreviation of Puff Daddy. His name used to be Puff Daddy or Puffy. Then Biggie, Notorious B.I.G., gave him the name P Diddy. And then he just dropped the P from it. But his real name is Sean Combs. Kyle Slater says Anthony the Redeemer. IDK Chino says, do you watch basketball? If you do, who do you think is winning from the Final Four? I'm not watching. As you can see, there's only one team I support right here. But I just check, I'll just check the scores when I'm reading my Diamondback, uh, when I read like alumni emails or the old campus newspaper email that I receive now, since they no longer print a hard copy. I actually have the very last hard copy of the Diamondback paper for the University of Maryland. Saved it, but I only I don't watch sports. I find that a waste of my time. I'd rather be physically active myself than watching other people be warriors. I want to be a warrior. I mean, I don't have anything against anyone watching the Final Four though. Like, March Madness is exciting, but for me, it's not, because literally the only team that I care about is my alma mater. So if it's not about my alma mater, I won't really watch March Madness into like the Sweet 16 and the Final Four and all of that, unless it is us in the Final Four, and we did not make it, unfortunately. Marty Joey 4 says howdy. What's up, Marty? Hershonful, what's up? Elijah the Shaman says Jewish space lasers. Really? And from my understanding, did Marjorie Taylor Greene really even say that? Because she later claimed that she never really said that. At least on Bill Maher, she said she never really said that. So I don't know. Reba Fuss's best golfer in the world, and people are still trying to get him arrested. He gets himself arrested. He needs to look. If you're a billionaire, hire a driver. Actually, he does. Okay, that's the dumb thing. He actually does have a driver. If you cannot drive, let your hired driver drive you places. Stop committing DUIs. I've already joked that it must be his Asian side that's doing the driving, but I don't look. He, I give look. I'm not going to defend a billionaire as a billionaire. You have access to resources that people don't even understand. Once you hit a certain financial level, you're living an entire different lifestyle than any other person on the planet. And I'm just talking about the 0.1%. The multi-billionaires, they're in the 0.01%. Okay? Anyone who's a billionaire or close to that, they live an entire different life. They have access to things you can't even fathom other than what you see on TV. Um, and I'm not going to defend a moron who has $1 billion who can and does have a hired driver but still decides to go driving drunk. I don't care if he's the best whatever in the world. That doesn't excuse his inexplicable behavior for driving while under the influence when he has a hired driver. Even if he didn't have a hired driver, he could just get a Uber Black. Fuck Tiger Woods. I'm sorry. I love Tiger Woods, especially in his early days, but he's a fucking idiot. Ain't no I I I have no sympathy for people who are have amassed immense wealth and have access to things others that 99% of the world don't and still fuck up. So forget Woods. Burger King Foot Whopper says, howdy, what's up? D dash underscore 9797 dash says you're hella pedantic. Yes, I am pedantic because, like Bertrand Russell says, I prefer my statements to be true. He said that's what that wasn't foul though. What do you mean? I'm not even sure to what you're referring now. He said he just yapping. Bro, if I'm just yapping, you can leave the stream. No one told you you have to be here. Again, coming to a live stream complaining about the content creator when you can go to any other live stream is on you. Again, I don't come to your office kicking dicks out of your mouth, when you're trying to make your money. Brady's still saying that basketball player for an edit. I don't get what you mean for an edit. I already named my favorite player of all time, Michael Jordan, because I'm from Chicago. So he said this guy's saying big words that don't make sense. No, my words do make sense, and I'm not just using big words for the sake of using big words. It just means you're not bright enough to understand what I'm saying. However, if you were bright enough to say, you know what, I don't understand everything that man's saying, you could simply say, bro, Can you explain what X, Y, or Z means that you just mentioned? Because I don't know what those words mean. Okay, first of all, you can just use, you do have Google like I do, or Bing, or ChatGPT, or a host of other generative AI. So you can use those tools. But if you in the if but in real time you just want to say, hey, what does such and such mean? I would explain it to you. I don't use words that I don't know what they don't. Excuse me. I don't use words in that I don't know what they mean. Any word that I use, I can describe to you what I'm referring to. So if you don't know what I'm saying, just say that. Don't project your ignorance onto me because you're too fucking stupid. Your whole fucking username is stupid. You probably you're probably sitting here watching this with a Pooh Shiesty mask on. Mr. Love Handle says technology is still young. It has the potential to do anything. We just don't have the capability right now. Mm, I don't. I'm not. I'm not one of those techno futurists. I I don't believe technology. Well, I do believe technology is capable of much more than it currently is. That we're in which then we're currently using it, right? But I don't. I'm not one of those futurists who think that technology is um, everything. Speaking of technology, can we give it? Can we still give it up for the fact that we just went back to the moon in over 54 years? 54 years. Guys, we haven't been to the moon since 1972 from my recollection. 1972. It's been about 54 years and we went back to the fucking moon. Four generations have never witnessed uh space exploration where we went to the moon. And we went back to the moon a few days ago with the launch of Artemis 2. So if we're going to talk about technology, let's start there. The last time we went to the moon is 1972. It's taken us this long. It's taken us over a half a century to get back to the space exploration we were doing in the 70s. Of course, the reason being that then we were motivated to do so because of the Cold War. And now we're we're in a second Cold War, but this time with China, since China was intimating that they were going to launch a mission to the moon. It became imperative to our government that we get back there first. But regardless of the actual motivation for going back, we have finally gone back. Many of Gen X have never witnessed um, astronauts going to the moon. None of millennials have. None of Gen Z have. None of Gen Alpha have. All of us are witnessing this at one point, or have witnessed this at one point. 3 days ago. It's phenomenal. So yes, technology is amazing, and it will lead to more things in the future. But I don't believe it has the potential to do anything. If I mean not literally anything, I believe it can do many things, but not anything. So anyway, uh, DED underscore Freddy says, "Hey, what's up?" Mr. Lovehandle says you're forgetting about the spaghetti god monster that flips the whole table. Yeah, I know the whole. That's an old joke amongst atheists. The whole um, flying spaghetti god monster. Um, I don't. That was a joke in like the late '90s, early 2000s. I don't really think anyone. I don't think younger atheists even know that joke about this flying spaghetti monster thing. Fortnite map draws says hello from Chad. What's up? D. Freddie says Jesus loves you, but I'm gonna go love you. Okay. Mark's dash Q6C3H says what's going on? Ain't nothing going on but the rent. I'm kidding. Miss Love Handle says I find it quite interesting that we literally have years and years and years of research, information, hell, even cat videos, and the average person isn't a little bit informed about these things because you have to be motivated to look. Look, the problem is we live in the information age, and we are in this and at this stage of the information age, we're inundated with information. Like we're not just given information. Not only do we have access to any information, to almost any sort of information that we want, in fact, we're inundated with it. So it becomes actual. It becomes necessary nowadays to actually um, bottleneck the amount of information that's thrown to us daily, and some things take more priority over others. Not to mention, not everyone is intellectually curious about more abstract matters. You know. Okay, Mark has been an idiot, so Mark has to go. Two YE Chan says, you're starting because you're mad. No, I'm stuttering because that's just a normal linguistic process. You would know that if you studied linguistics. You know, verbal tics, stutters, vocal missteps. Excuse me. I need water. Drink water. That's that melange spice. I'm joking. You won't get, unless you're a nerd, you won't even get that. But Dune Part 3 is coming out soon. This summer. And I still gotta read that book. The second book, which is what the third movie is based on. Anyway, stuttering, verbal tics, glottal stops, little, you know, verbal gaffes of any sort. These are natural linguistic processes. It doesn't have anything to do with someone not knowing what they're saying or that they're stupid. Thomas Jefferson had a very bad stuttering problem allegedly, but you wouldn't know that from penning the most eloquent speech in the history of humanity. So anyway, there's a there's a phenomenon in linguistics that specifies the distinction between verbal competence and verbal performance. Because the performance is less than perfect doesn't mean that the mental competence in one's language abilities is also thwarted, because the performance has a lot to do with other things, physical and whatever. So anyway, all right, I'm about to end this. This is let me get through these. Uh, PGMB product says Easter Sunday has the snakes coming out. I had a mouse come on my barn door and leaked a warm, sloppy mess. Sounds like problems.
Boss guy underscore BX is why you talking about other people, talk about yourself. Dude, I'm responding to folks in the chat room. If you don't get that, you're a fucking moron, you faggot. Shut up. Boss guy says it's a little late for that, buddy. You 40 plus. So what? And I can beat your ass, bitch. I bet you wouldn't fuck with me in real life. I'm 48 and I will fuck you up on any given day. I will fuck you up just waking up because I'm that guy. Tough talking on a live stream behind the anonymity of a screen. Go suck a dick. That's what you're good at. Your whole family is. Your mother is, your father is, your sisters, your future daughter, your future sons. All dick suckers. Just like you. Good trait to have. You'll never go broke. Sergey, first of all, let's say Sergey Lavrov dash RLJ says this guy's an undercover tether. You don't have a hairline no more. First of all, you dumb fucking faggot. I have my hair cut close. You would know that if you wasn't some little fucking Gen Z faggot who probably has dreads and braids because you're an effeminate little piece of shit, low testosterone bitch Gen Z faggot ass motherfucking retard. On top of that, I'm not a tether. I'm blackety black, foundational black American. No tethering in my family, bro. Besides that, your whole fucking name is Sergey Lavrov on here. So really, 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 and again, I don't understand how you motherfuckers don't know what a Caesar cut is or what a regular cut. I don't know wherever they call it, where you call it a regular or a Caesar. That's what this is. It's a Caesar or a regular. If you rather just call it a regular, it's just cut close, not bold. Have a hairline, which is more than what your mother has. The most hair she has on is on her little nappy ass pussy, and that shit stinks. But she keeps the block flooded on her cooch. Okay, James Jr. says scrolling through YouTube live streams, live streams for the first time. Boy, people sure are different. Yeah. B Road 19 says, "Do you support Trump?" I sure do. What's your favorite dessert? Fruit snacks. Um, but if you mean like a snack, I mean, but if you mean like a dessert, I'm not really a. I don't really like confectionery sweets. But I'll say ice cream, I guess. But mostly fruit snacks or ice cream. But I'm not really a sweets person. Those are like the only two things you really can sell me on: ice cream or fruit snacks. So I guess favorite dessert. If I think fruit snacks can count as a dessert, right? If fruit snacks can't count, then it's ice cream. I don't know. Dash C5X says I don't support Trump. Well, that's your like you're free to not uh, support Trump. I do. Good thing about that whole freedom thing, right? Especially that one written in the First Amendment. Pretty good stuff, right? Tobias, Tob, Tobias. That's not Tobias. Tobias Calandra says, I'm watching it right now. I'm going to college next year to for bioscience to become potentially an astronaut. Why would you do a bioscience major to become an astronaut? That doesn't make sense. Most astronauts come from a military background, although many of them are now, can be civilians who usually come from an engineering or science background. Um, Not usually bioscience, because they don't really send bioscientists out to space. Not yet, anyway. Once we start looking into certain things, yeah, maybe in the future. Many of them are um, people who've done aerospace engineering, been in the military, pilots, stuff like that. Um, they have a background maybe like in physics or engineering, not bioscience. Ham- Hamza Ahmad 129 says, no, we are not in a Cold War and we didn't go to the moon because there isn't shit there. All right. Well, this isn't, well, no, I'm not going to be nice. Fuck that. You're a fucking idiot. We are in a Cold War with China and have been for like several years now. Um, and it is the impetus for why we decided to go back to the moon, because it was said a few years ago that China wanted to go back to the moon. So we decided, okay, well, we need to go back before them. And there's plenty of, like, the moon is a good reason to go back to the moon, is that we can eventually put um, observatories on the moon to do more space research, as well as to uh, put stations on the moon, as well as use it as a launching pad to eventually get to Mars. So you're just retarded. Jeremiah Brown 3 says, the most eloquent speech in humanity. I don't pretend to be the most eloquent speaker. I know I'm not the worst speaker. And I didn't say that the Declaration of Independence was the most eloquent speech in humanity. I said it was the okay. So you're just giving a straw man of what I said. I didn't say it was the most eloquent speech. I said one of the it was one of the most profound speeches ever given in written form, not in oral form. Pause. Um, but as I stated, you wouldn't know that Jefferson was such a prolific orator, at least in written form, if you only heard him like talk verbally, because allegedly he had a pretty bad stuttering problem. And you're probably, and honestly, you're either not American, or you're probably pretty history illiterate. Declaration of Independence is one of the most profound writings in human history. You probably never read it. I'm almost guaranteed that you didn't read it. So what I am going to do, which will take us all, which will get rid of all this dumbness, I'm just going to do my community moderation, and I'm gonna say that participant mode is only for subscribers, and that will limit all of you morons. Susan Fuller, what's up? She says Scatman was a singer who stutters, yet he made the song "I'm a Scatman." Wonderful song, truly. I, have I heard this? I think. Why do I think I've heard that song? I think I have. But yeah, I mean, someone's stuttering has to do with speech pathology, but everyone stutters from time to time. That process. But if someone has like like a consistent stuttering pattern, that's a matter of audio and speech pathology, which is actually a very interesting science for someone to study if you're currently in college or heading in that direction. But I've turned on the moderation that only subscribers can respond. That way, if anyone really wants to respond, they can subscribe. Otherwise, they will shut the fuck up. Isabella Morgan says you got a big hairline. Again, you're judging from the angles in which I hold my camera. So I really don't care what any of you think because you haven't dropped any money in the plate. Once you drop a super chat or a cash app, then you can feel free to critique me on my appearance or my verbal capabilities or lack thereof. Until then, I don't give a fuck what you think because most of you cannot fight me. Most of you cannot fight me neither physically nor rationally. And again, this isn't 3 years ago where I would feel the need to be standing in front of my multiple degrees. I'm not going to do that anymore. I don't care what you think. You're on my platform now. I'm not on yours. But what's up, Susan? Thank you for the shout out, by the way. So yep, after I turned that on, looks like no one. Hmm. Yeah, so looks like that I put it into things by turning on that subscriber only model for community moderation, and that's where it shall remain. So I'm gonna dip set. Um, you guys can carry the conversation on in the comment section, and I do look at all the comments. I don't always respond because some of them honestly aren't worth responding to. I'm gonna be honest, but the ones that are, I do. Because people also troll in the comment section as well. Most of them I don't see because YouTube itself, the algorithm will block certain things. It's not even the host of these videos. YouTube itself will block people from saying stuff that comes off as violent or hateful. Okay, they've given more leeway in the past 2 years because they realize people value freedom of speech over um, the curation of people's thoughts and ideas, but there's a trade off there. In any case, I'm out, guys. Yeah, I value freedom of speech, but most of you don't understand what freedom of speech is. Freedom of speech is not freedom from consequences. That's number one. Number two, freedom of speech is about the government curtailing a citizen's right to speak, to express themselves. It has nothing to do with private individuals. It has to do with government because most of you don't realize that. And I don't care whether you subscribed or not. The fact that you think you can still troll me just by subscribing and coming in here with some bullshit, I'll still block you because you're retarded. I don't I don't value the thoughts of retarded people. Sorry. Like I don't know why people look, if you're dealing with if you're on the spectrum, I understand, but I don't have to deal with you. So on that note,